Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I get to share with you a couple of projects using the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kit for January 2023. I'm sure at one point this month I'm going to be saying January 2022, so forgive me in advance. It's the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kit is called Hydrangea Bouquet. There's two images in here, a large one and then a small one, and then 3 sentiments. The dies will cut out both images and then the Hello Friend sentiment. And we'll be using this on both of our cards today. I'm also going to be using the Spellbinders Embossing folder of the Month Club kit for January 2023. It's called Stylized Trellis. And to me this is so really pretty. It kind of has a lacy look to it. So that's going to be my intention for my cards today. So let's jump in and do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to not use the larger image. I'm going to use the smaller image today. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and we're going to do some stamping on some white cardstock. I'm going to treat my paper with my anti-static powder tool. We're going to do some heat embossing. The cardstock that I'm using is just my regular heavyweight cardstock, but ideally I think you'd probably want to maybe use Bristol Smooth, because I'm going to be using my color medium today will be my Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. I'm going to stamp with my watermark ink, and I'm going to stamp a couple times here, and I think I can get 3 on this panel. I'm going to use my heat gun and I'm going to melt the embossing powder. So there are my pretty florals. I mentioned I'm going to be coloring in with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. Now the coloring that I'm going to be doing, I'm doing the same for all 3. And I'm actually going to do one more panel. So I want 6 of these flowers in total. I'm only going to color in 1 today. And then I'll do the rest off of camera. I'm using, for the flower base, we're using number 25 pink. And I'm just going to go over my flowers. I want some bright colors. I'm going to play a little bit of music while I color, and when I'm done coloring, I will catch you back. Coloring is all done, and I mentioned Bristol Smooth cardstock because I think I could have blended a little bit better, but I still like the outcome. I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinating die and cut this out, and then I'm going to color in and die cut out 3 more of my images, and when I'm done I will be right back. So I have all my florals done, and I think they look bright and cheery, and I love that. Now we're going to put these off to the side, and we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of embossing. Before we emboss, I want to create a really thick window frame. So I have a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to be using my Essential Rectangles die set. I'm going to take the second to the smallest rectangle, and I'm going to die cut out a frame. I'm just going to tack this down. And while we're die cutting, I'm going to also take, this is Fruit Punch. This is the new Spellbinders. Well, it's not new, but it's fairly new. This is the Fruit Punch cardstock. It's a real pretty, almost like a fuchsia. I'm going to use a heart die, and I'm going to cut out a heart with this. I'll tack this down also. I'm going to emboss a panel with white cardstock, and then I am eventually going to, after this is die cut out, I'm going to emboss this frame also. While I'm die cutting, I'm going to use the Spellbinders Flutter Wing SHADOWBOX Butterflies. This has been out for a while. I don't know if Spellbinders still has this or not. If they do, I'll link it down below. But I wanted some butterflies. So we are going to die cut out some white butterflies, and then you can separate the inside piece. Let me show you. You can use these together to create a background, and I'm going to do this and create a background with vellum after I die cut out my white butterflies. For my butterfly body, I'm going to use some gold mirror cardstock, and I'm going to die cut out 2 of these. So I have a little bit of embossing to do, a little bit of die cutting to do, and when I'm all done, I'll be right back. All my embossing and my die cutting is all done, and I just think this embossing folder is really pretty. Just love the lacy look of this. And then here's my frame, and here's my Fruit Punch heart. I also trimmed down a rectangle that will fit behind this window, just slightly smaller than this window frame. I want a pink panel on the inside. Now, to create the butterflies, very easy. I'm going to go ahead and take my glue. I'm going to add a thin bead of glue down the middle of the butterfly, and then we'll add it to the vellum. And then I'll do the same thing, and then we can add our butterfly body here. We'll just tack this down and let that dry. I love the lacy look of this with the vellum behind it. Okay, after we have this done, we're going to work on our first card here. I do want to add a little bit of color. We have some purples and the pinks in our florals, so I'm going to ink blend a little bit of purple around my heart here. To do that, I'm not sure if I want my Dusty Concord or my Seedless Preserves. I'm thinking Dusty Concord would look nicer. So let's add a little bit of color around the edges of our heart. And I'm not concerned about this side because that's going to be covered with our florals. More or less, we're going to go look on the right side here. I'm going to do the same thing with this panel here. And I think that's going to work out great. We'll put this off to the side with our frame. I'm going to take this panel, I'm going to flip it around, and just using my tape runner, we're going to adhere this to the front of our card base. Next, I'm going to use 2 of my florals, and we are going to add these to our heart. I do want to pop them up with some foam squares. And I think that looks really pretty. I'm going to flip this panel around and add some more foam squares behind here. And for this one I need to double up on so everything is nice and even. I'm going to place this in the center of my card here. Lovely. And then for this card, I'm going to use the big butterfly. I am going to fluff the wings up a bit, but I'm going to take a foam square and I'm going to trim down a couple thin strips to go behind the spine of the butterfly. And we can actually do this to the smaller butterfly too. And then I'll remove the release paper. And I'm going to place this in the middle of my heart. I'm going to lower this flower just a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. I went ahead and stamped Hello Friend with my black ink and die cut it out using the coordinating die. I'm going to add this sentiment right on the bottom, and we'll trim down. And I'm pretty sure this will go to the mail pretty good. I like the wings fluffed up a little bit. And then that is card number 1. I am going to add a few little sequins in just a minute, but we're going to do that last. So let's start number 2, card number 2. We have our frame, and then we have our panel. I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive behind our ink blended fruit punch cardstock, and then this is going to go directly on our card base. What I like to do is place it behind my window first, kind of hold it, and then tack it down. This way I know it's perfectly positioned. I'm going to pop this up with some foam tape. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of my frame, and we'll place this on our card front. Lovely. And then we have 4 of our florals. And I'm going to put 2, we're going to kind of create a frame with them. Like so. And I'm just going to use my tape runner to adhere these. Wonderful. After we have this done, we have our smaller butterfly. And I'm going to remove the release paper off of the foam adhesive we added. And we're going to add our butterfly. I think that's a pretty spot. And then I'm going to pop up my sentiment. I just need adhesive basically on the hello. I'm going to remove the release paper and add adhesive on the friend, because this is going to overlap on the floral a little bit. Wonderful. Okay, now we need some bells and whistles, so I'm going to bring in some Spellbinders Color Essential Gems. I'm using the Prism gems today. It has a lavender or a purple hue to this, and I'm going to add just a few gems to the center of our larger flowers. And I think that's just the right amount. I put a little bit of a cluster in the center of here for a little added sparkle. And then that will finish off my cards today using the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club Kit for January 2022. It's called Hydrangea Bouquet, and also the Embossing Folder of the Month Club Kit. It's called Stylized Trellis. Thanks for joining me. Have a lovely day.